And today's challenge is to get rid of that. We got a little bit of knocking, rattling situation going on here with my old, these are a set of old JKS quick release disconnect anti-Swaybar links on my 1996 Jeep XJ Cherokee. They've been amazing, they've been wonderful, but they're clearly worn out. I did find a pair, and full disclosure, they sent them to me just so I had to try them out, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put them in place of these JKS Swaybar links, and quite honestly, they look like absolute knockoffs, which they probably are. So let's compare the real thing with the wannabes and see how it works out. Okay, here's what we've got. Here's the kit, and you can see it looks awfully familiar. So I don't know if it's a direct knockoff or if maybe the JKS was a knockoff of something else. I got no idea. But at any rate, I've adjusted this one to kind of maximum. This is 10 turns in, just to show you the range that this thing will cover. These are designed for a lifted Jeep. I believe 2.5 to 6 or 8 inches. Obviously a pretty good range. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. My XJ's lifted about 3 inches, so it should be somewhere near the shortest possible setting. The rest of the hardware looks very much like what's in there already. There were absolutely zero instructions in this thing. Might be a little difficult if you weren't starting with a pair of disconnects, because it's going to look very different than a regular set of Swaybar links. But let's go ahead and get the old ones off and put the new ones on. Not really very complicated as far as the mechanics go, but we'll take a look and see what we're up against. Okay, just like the new one, the top bolt that goes through the U-shaped mount is a 6mm. The Swaybar connection is a 17mm nut up top and the same 6mm bolt at the bottom, so let's turn that off. Okay, the through bolt that goes through the bottom of the Swaybar link the nut is a 18mm. You're going to want to take the quick disconnect off, and well, that ought to be pretty easy, and pull off this extra spacer that's part of the system. So, old trick, I'm going to stick a nail in it and use that to stop the rotation of the whole shaft whenever I start loosening the nut. And I'm sure it's going to be really hard on the nail. Okay, it was a nice thought, but I'm going to end up having to use a pair of vice grips on the shaft to hold it in place while I get the nut off. Won't really do any real damage, but I would prefer not to do it that way, just because that lives inside a poly bushing and won't do it any good should it ever find its way back into the rotation of used parts. All right, and here's just a little comparison of the two, and you can see that there are a couple differences. Number one, this bolt is a lot longer than this one. Doesn't need to be. That's just sloppy long, but not really a big deal. Secondly, this bolt is not included. I don't remember if this was part of the original kit or not. One of the things that I notice is this kit should have had a lock washer. So I'm going to have to reuse that. That was kind of a swing and a miss. But otherwise, it looks to be pretty much the same thing. The one thing you might notice is that the shortest possible setting on this one, well, this has actually got maybe a turn left to go down. This is a little bit longer than this one, set for my 3-inch lift. So clearly, this one's a little on the long side. That doesn't bother me. Being a little extra long is not really a problem. Being too short is definitely a problem, because whenever you fully articulate an axle away from the body, if your link is too short, it can actually end up directly in line with the sway bar, and then whenever your suspension settles back down, it could end up going the wrong direction or just putting a whole lot of pressure on everything. So a little bit extra long is not going to matter, particularly if I disconnect this going any hardcore off-roading I'm going to do. So looks like it's ready to go in. I think it'll work fine. Let me just set them down to their minimum and start installing. All right, got the bracket ready to go up into the sway bar. I put a little dab of grease on it because someday this may have to come off, and I'm going to make it easy on myself if at all possible. All right, that's installed. Next is to put the pin on. Okay, even though this is a nylock nut, I'm going to put just the tiniest little smear of grease on these threads, just because I do hate rust, and just to make it that much easier to spin it on. Okay, and when placing this, make sure you've got it set up so you can actually put the screw in from the outside, because your bracket here is going to keep you from putting the screw in if you put it in the other way. Just an FYI. Okay, we've got the bottom pin in. Now I just got to hang the link from the sway bar. Metal insert into the poly bushing until it's flush on both sides, which is gonna take a little more than I can do with one hand, I think. Okay, flush on that side, pretty close on that side, ready to go in. Okay, and one other thing you're gonna want to do, well, for these or pretty much any other similar devices, is make sure the Zerk fittings are screwed down tight. Okay, time to install this top bolt through the mount and through the link. So I added a little bit of grease, was a good idea, and put on the used lock washer, which wasn't included in the kit. So now I just got to weasel the link onto the mount and then put the bolt through. Okay, I've got the link at approximately the right height to connect. One of the next steps is to put the spacer on. It goes in that way. And then another step that I'm going to recommend is that you put just a little bit of grease. Not enough to make a big difference, but basically just enough to facilitate sliding that nice tight poly bushing over this post, because otherwise it's going to want to hang up, and when you're out there on the trailhead trying to get this thing disconnected, you're going to be squirming and grunting and groaning, and nobody wants to do that like I'm doing right now. All right, so just got to get it lined up, get it slid on. All right, folks, that wasn't really all that difficult, but it was kind of a two-handed job. Okay, so it's lined up. It's connected at both ends, and I see a potential problem here, and that is, if you look closely, that hole that the keeper pin, the little clip goes through, is a little bit smaller. It's a little bit obscured by this bushing. I'm not sure that's gonna fly, folks. Looks like the spacer is maybe just about 1/8 of an inch too fat to get this pin in right. I mean, I might be able to force it through. Yeah, I did. That's okay. That's actually not that bad. It should work out pretty good. Now I'm going to get this thing lined up. I'm going to turn it so just slightly so that it's lined up top and bottom, and I'm going to snug down this bolt. All right, got everything lined up. Got this ready to go. You got to have a 24 millimeter wrench to snug that down. Make sure it's good and tight against the bottom section here. And you can see it's turning just a little bit, so I'm going to turn it back because it's now connected directly to the bottom section. So That's in there really good. You can see it's not exactly straight, but it's a Swaybar link, so it doesn't really have to be. Okay, so let's go do the other side. I did disconnect the other side while I was doing these adjustments, of course, otherwise it would have been a fight and a half. So let's get it going. All right, on this side, I ran into a little issue. The mounting bracket for the steering stabilizer shock thing here is a little too close. I actually had to get behind here with a big honking pry bar and bend this thing out just a little bit. Since it's not particularly constrained, and since I will be adjusting the length, I'll be able to put a little twist in it if I need to. But basically, that's what it took so that this could be easily removed on the trail. And I remember I had a lot of trouble with this with the originals. So this isn't particularly a problem with this particular Swaybar link, although it's maybe it could be the clearance is just a tiny bit less than it was with the originals, but not that big a deal. Just thought I would point it out in case you run into the same thing. So, okay, snug the 24 down against the lower section. Once it's good and snug, then I turned it back to line it up with the bushing, and we are fully on and straight and got the pin in. Again, it's tight. You can see it actually deforms that little ledge, that little ridge on the bushing, but not enough to get too excited about. It probably just holds it in there a little sturdier than it would be otherwise. So, okay, we are fully installed and should be rattle-free, because I got to tell you, folks, the old setup rattled a lot. So I'm happy. It's red. It's pretty. Now just a question of seeing how long it lasts compared to the originals, which were in there many years and many tens of thousands of miles. So can't really fault them for the way they lasted, given how much abuse this thing's gone through. So let's see if these do as good. Okay, I should mention that the kit also comes with these, which I believe are little mounting points that you could mount to part of the subframe or someplace up here under the front end, so that the sway bar could swing up and then pin onto this. It's got the hole for the quick release, so this will go through the bottom poly bushing just fine. It won't be real snug, but with the quick release on it, it'll work well. I'm not going to bother, because these, I would have to actually tap a threaded hole through this fairly heavy hitch plate that I put on for towing the Jeep behind my RV or wherever else I mounted it. So rather than do that, I'll just use a bungee cord somewhere up under the front end here to hold the sway bar links up and out of the way and out of harm's way, where they really shouldn't be bothering anything anyway. So we're good to go.